I think this is the part that completely flipped the conversation. People were already speculating about the future of The Last of Us Season 3, but no one was expecting this. According to multiple viral insider accounts, HBO executives were allegedly presented with behind-the-scenes footage from Season 2 that they described as deeply concerning. Not your typical bloopers or actor outtakes. We're talking hours of raw, unedited clips showing Bella Ramsey in what one insider allegedly called a volatile emotional state.
Actually, people were critical of some choices that we've made in the show.
Yeah.
And they were saying like, oh, I like this better in the game, and this was more subtle in the game, whatever they said.
I didn't realize how funny you were. That's why
I didn't realize how funny you were.
Whoa, look at that.
Y'all are hilarious.
We made a deal to tell this story, and we're telling this story.
One anonymous source claimed that the footage was part of an internal production audit meant to assess how smoothly Season 2 had run compared to the first season. Instead, what execs allegedly saw was footage of constant retakes, moments where Ramsey reportedly refused direction, and emotionally fraught on-set blowups that left cast and crew drained. It wasn't about acting struggles or script rewrites. It was allegedly about the energy on set becoming completely unmanageable when Ramsey was involved.
I'm in a very unique position because it's my second go at this story. But I've just now lived in this world for so long, and I am just...
Isabella and me, Dina and Ellie. And that was, day 0, and it was just...
Allegedly, there were moments where entire shooting days had to be rearranged or canceled because Bella simply couldn't get through certain scenes. And these weren't isolated incidents. According to the leak, the footage showed patterns, not one-offs. Patterns of breakdowns, standoffs with directors, and what was repeatedly described by insiders as uncoachable behavior. One crew member even claimed that by the halfway point of the season, a second unit director was shadowing all of Ramsey's scenes in case a switch needed to be made mid-production.
There's a certain privilege that I feel and a certain appreciation of like, you know, as an artist, as a writer, as a storyteller, whatever title you want to put on us, you just hope you find some audience.
On set, I think I was a bit intimidated by how large the set was. And for some reason, I was fighting the feeling of thinking I was going to get fired. And then the last day, I felt...
And when execs saw this, that was reportedly the moment the tide turned. Internally, some allegedly pushed for reshoots. Others asked if it was even feasible to recast Ellie this late into the series. But the consensus? This was the kind of footage that didn't just impact the creative process. It posed a liability to the franchise itself. We're talking $1 billion IP, video game royalty. And now its entire television future was allegedly hanging by the thread of one actor's behavior. Some say the footage was so bad that legal teams were looped in to review potential PR fallout if it ever leaked. Which makes you wonder...
Look how far games have come, that we could have this conversation. It's like, you could compare the two, and that the game can sit side by side with an HBO show.
Oh, I had to put like a jacket on and a backpack and a sling a gun over me, and that was actually quite difficult. I actually had quite a hard day trying to get all of my things on and get the gun the right way up. It was a bit of a thing. Anyway, it was really fun. And
what are they really hiding from us? This wasn't just a bad day on set. If these leaks are real, it was the spark that lit the fuse, and the fire was already spreading fast. But the most shocking part? HBO didn't go public. They didn't recast. Instead, they cut the roll down, quietly, strategically. And that brings us to the move fans are still trying to decode.
Just really intense combat scenes, and carrying not only the bravery and the heroism, but also the fear of, not so much for my own personal well-being, but the fear of loss of the community and the family. And
based on very specific source material. And so that was always a part of the presentation of the idea. Go all in on season 1, shoot for 11 to 12 months in Alberta, and then it would take a totally different shape in the second season, and this is why.
This next part is where everything starts to feel a little too convenient. Bella Ramsey themselves confirmed in an interview that Ellie's role in season 3 would be way smaller. On the surface, that lines up with the plot from the second game. Abby becomes a primary focus. That's all well and good.
Wait, He did what he saved me. I'm the one that there's no cure because of me. I am the one that you want. Just let him go. I let you both live. And you wasted it.
But let's be honest, The Last of Us doesn't work without Ellie. Shrinking her presence was a bold move, and I think it was more than just a creative decision. What if HBO knew they had a problem and this was their way out? What if they watched that behind-the-scenes footage and realized there's no way we can move forward with Bella Ramsey at the center of this story? It's not like the show hadn't already faced backlash. From the day Bella was cast, fans were split. Hardcore gamers were vocal about how different she looked from Ellie in the game. They didn't like the attitude, they didn't like the delivery, they didn't like the way the character evolved.
Tell me, did I have it wrong? No. Okay.
I'm starting out like such a bitch.
No. Listen.
Craig gathering everyone up. Majority of them had already done the whole season of this show, so I was a little bit intimidated. He was like, season 2, let's go.
But instead of recasting early on, HBO stood by their decision. And for a while, they powered through. But after season 2 wrapped and the tension hit a boiling point, that loyalty allegedly started to crack. Internally, some executives were reportedly pushing for a full rewrite of season 3. Others were exploring ways to cut down Ellie's scenes without harming the overall arc. And what we ended up with? A quiet phase-out, a strategic pivot, reduce Bella's screen time, shift focus to Abby, let the storm settle. But here's where things got even murkier. According to new leaks, there was internal debate about whether Bella's scenes should even be aired. One version of the script reportedly had Abby as the sole lead from episode 1, while another kept Ellie's arc but significantly minimized it. Multiple insiders have claimed that the reduced role line was a compromise, not a plan. It was HBO hedging their bets, trying to keep the fan base intact while navigating what they saw in that damning footage. And fans? Oh, they noticed. Immediately. Some started asking why Ellie's arc was being cut short when the emotional payoff of the entire story hinges on her journey. Others speculated the role reduction was punishment, an indirect way of pushing Ramsey out without the PR mess of a formal recast. Then came the debates, the reaction videos, the fan theories, and that energy didn't fade. It exploded. Because HBO's quiet pivot didn't solve anything. It made things worse. And it set the stage for the loudest, most divided fan reaction in the show's history. The fan base was already fragile. By the time season 2 ended, you had longtime fans of the game, newer fans from the show, casual viewers, and critics, all pulling in different directions. But the second the news broke that Bella Ramsey's role would be significantly reduced, everything shattered. On one side, you had supporters who felt Ramsey had been unfairly targeted from the beginning. They pointed to the pressure, the criticism, the constant comparisons to a video game character. They saw the reduced role as betrayal, proof that HBO had caved to online bullies. But the other side? They were furious for different reasons. To them, this wasn't enough. They'd wanted Ramsey recast since season 1. They felt the damage was done, the immersion was broken, and that no amount of reduction could fix it. Cutting screen time felt like a half measure, a band-aid on a bullet. Wound, and then came the wildest twist. Both sides started attacking each other. Twitter threads went viral. YouTubers uploaded 40-minute essays breaking down everything Bella got wrong. Reddit became a war zone. TikTok trends mocked the show's direction. Even fan art started reflecting the divide, with some artists posting alternate castings for Ellie as if season 2 had never happened. Petitions popped up overnight, one demanding Ramsey be fully reinstated, another pushing for a total reboot. Hashtags trended. Justice for Ellie clashed with replace Bella. Entire fandoms fractured, and HBO silent. They allegedly tried to ride it out, hoping time would calm things down. But the backlash didn't fade. It kept spreading. More leaks, more footage speculation, more rumors. And fans were now convinced something was seriously wrong behind the scenes. Because when you combine a cast shakeup, hidden footage, and zero communication from the studio, you don't just lose fans. You lose trust. And once that trust is gone, it doesn't come back. But the worst part? This was just the tip of the iceberg. Because next came the crew whispers. And that's where things took a seriously dark turn. Now, this is where it gets really damning. According to several unconfirmed but viral posts, people who worked on the show started leaking anonymous accounts of what it was really like on set. Allegedly, some crew members described the environment as tense, with Bella frequently clashing with directors over line readings and emotional delivery. One person even claimed scenes had to be reshot multiple times because of emotional shutdowns. And it wasn't just tension. Some insiders say morale plummeted, that certain key figures in makeup and camera departments quit mid-shoot, and that every time Ramsey was on set, people were walking on eggshells. Whether that's exaggerated or not, it fits into a broader picture that's been forming for a while. The production was falling apart from the inside, but if the crew saw it, so did the higher-ups, and their solution, way more brutal. Let's not pretend Neil Druckmann didn't try to hold this together. The co-creator of the Last of Us franchise reportedly fought tooth and nail to keep the vision intact. He defended Bella Ramsey publicly. He doubled down on sticking to the game structure. But behind the scenes, I think he knew this was a sinking ship. One leak claimed Druckmann was blindsided by the extent of the fan revolt and the footage that HBO execs were shown. Allegedly, he was caught off guard by how bad things had gotten on set, and when executives started talking cancellation behind his back, he pushed back hard. But it didn't matter, because in the end, the footage spoke louder than loyalty. And when Neil Druckmann isn't in control of The Last of Us anymore, you know something's seriously wrong. This show was once HBO's next Game of Thrones. Now, it's a cautionary tale. Sponsors are reportedly pulling back. Merch deals have dried up, tie-in projects are being shelved quietly. And let's be real, when a lead actor becomes a liability, it's not just a casting problem, it's a brand risk. You cannot build a billion-dollar franchise on someone the audience won't rally behind. And I think HBO knew that. Once the footage leaked internally, execs allegedly made the call, either recast and reshoot or cancel. And with the budget already out of control, they chose the nuclear option, and then came the silence. The eerie, suspicious silence. Since all of this began, Bella Ramsey has gone almost completely silent on social media. No reaction, no interviews, no clarification. And that's weird, because up until now, they were always quick to speak up about their role, the backlash, even their character's evolution. But now, nothing. Just reposts and curated press content. And HBO? Even weirder. They've made vague statements about delays and focusing on quality, but nothing direct about Ramsey, the footage, or Season 3's actual status. This radio silence is loud. Too loud. It feels like something big is being swept under the rug, like they're just waiting for people to forget. But this fanbase doesn't forget. And the final nail in the coffin? A leak that flipped the entire narrative. Just weeks ago, a high-level leak allegedly exposed internal documents discussing Bella Ramsey's removal from the franchise. The leaked thread claimed HBO execs feared more footage would surface, footage they couldn't spin or bury, and that's when they pulled the plug. The rumor says Season 3 isn't just delayed, it's dead. Done. Quietly canceled to avoid a PR disaster. If that's true, then The Last of Us didn't die because of bad writing or creative shifts. It died because someone pressed record. Because a camera caught something that couldn't be unseen. And now, one of the most promising shows of this decade is collapsing in real time. So now we're left with a giant crater where one of HBO's biggest properties used to stand. Bella Ramsey's silence, Neil Druckmann's absence, a fan base in chaos, and footage that might never go public, but still managed to kill a billion-dollar show behind the scenes. I think this whole situation is a lesson in how fast everything can unravel. One mistake, one leak, one bad casting gamble, and it all comes crashing down. The real question now is, who's going to speak first? And what happens when the footage leaks for real? Because if it does, this story is far from over.